All right, it is Monday, June 1st. Welcome to June, and this is Monday night edition of This Fan's View. We have Carl, John, Lauren, Anthony, and myself. And John, who wore it best? What do we got?
Number 13 wrapped up, and as we predicted, it was a runaway. Wilt Chamberlain won, 312 votes. Kevin Hayes was second with 31. Billy Wagner had 11, and Nelson Aguilar got 2.
So one was your son.
It was. Well, you threw out the challenge to see if and he said, "I'm gonna do it just because Mario said, was he going to get a vote?" So
that's about as many catches as he had, right?
Exactly. Exactly. This week we got a little bit of a tough one. A little interesting. We got. We had a tough one with the Phillies themselves, which we needed your help with, the viewers, and Pete Rose ended up winning for that over Jim Bunnan, and Del Ennis was getting a lot of votes as well for that. For the Eagles, we have Doug Peterson, and remember, it's for the player, not the coach. No,
he doesn't wear a number as a coach.
And for the Flyers, we have Sean Couturier, who again we used the viewers to help with the voting, and we had a big turnout, and Sean Couturier won in a little bit of a landslide, which was surprising over Joe Watson.
I think it was more than a little bit of a landslide.
Right.
It was like a deadly landslide.
Yeah, him and I was surprised. I thought Ron Sutter would have gotten a little bit more pull as well. And then for the Sixers, we have Henry Bibby.
Who?
Henry Bibby.
I want to say that you do that have done that for every number so far.
Oh, that's probably accurate. Yeah.
But yeah, so this one should be fun. We have a lot of people growing and interested in the show and with this contest, and we have the poll going up, which is what we use now, and it's going to be going up. We have it set up to go live at 7:30, and all you got to do is make sure you click the circle so it gets a check mark and get your vote counted, and it's been fun. So, Mary, who do you have?
Well, I was going to go with Joe Watson, but since he's not there and I can't do a write-in, then I'm going to go for Pete Rose.
There you go. Carl, who do you have?
Well, I'm torn because, Couturier, we always go back to, well, he's a new player. What has he done?
Mm-hmm.
Nice player, been around a couple of years. He's grown into it.
Couple.
Yeah, that's a couple. But I just, do we even know Doug Peterson as a player? Do we even know him?
I didn't.
1 year. 1 year as a backup.
I 14 as a coach, and I just totally missed that.
So I'm kind of torn.
But so my question, obviously, to you, Dad, the hockey guy. Sorry, John. What does that say about the people voting when Sean Couturier wins in a landslide against Joe Watson, who's a 2-time Stanley Cup champ? Sean Couturier, was he around when they went to the Stanley Cup in 2010? So
no.
2011.
Is that? Anthony said prior to the show, it's a popularity vote. So is that what it is? Just because he's a current guy and that's the name people know? Because when I look at the demographics of the people who are on this page, I feel like they're pretty well informed.
Yeah, but you know what? He's also not somebody that's just been around for 2 years. He's a current guy that's also been around for a decade. So I think that gives him more votes. People enjoy him as a player. So that's probably why he's got more votes. That's what I would imagine.
I just found it fascinating. I didn't expect him to run away with it.
Yeah, I thought that was a little bit surprising as far as how big of a margin he won by.
Right.
With that.
So. Yeah, I need more time.
All right, Steve. We'll come back to you.
I was all prepared. You know what I mean? I was all prepared. You know?
But
You know, AP's, you know, he's throwing out the, well, he's the coach. Coaches don't wear numbers.
I never said that. Actually,
Managers do. We're gonna have a few managers soon.
I don't remember ever saying that.
I didn't. Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't realize that he played for the Eagles. So, who were our other Eagles options?
Ty Detmer. Yeah.
I mean, that would have also gotten a who from me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's,
He didn't even
AJ
drive a
Feely.
cool car.
Yeah, I think AJ Feely was probably the next best one, but Dougie P's got the name with the Super Bowl. People will.
he didn't wear
fall in love
that
with
number when he won the Super
He
Bowl.
didn't. He didn't, obviously, but he still has the love in Philadelphia. So from most.
Fair enough.
So since
All
we
right, I'm gonna make a decision, and it's solely based on the current Flyers, and I'll go with Sean Couturier.
there you go.
Okay.
But
I'm
my
not
heart,
surprised.
my heart's right here. My heart's right here. So
You can go there.
You
No,
can.
Nah.
you can't.
no, Anthony will be upset because he didn't wear number 14, and he always
I don't really think Anthony cares too much.
well he always he's like inquiring minds. He always he's like, well, who wore it best?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's the name of the game.
Right. So Brian Brown brings up a perfect point. So it's a popularity
So
thing.
okay, I'm gonna take this in my own hands. I'm going next. So Pete Rose is a horrible human being. I'll say that in my opinion. He's a slimy, dirty type of a person.
You took my word.
But-
now what am I going to say?
But whatever you want. But obviously, that's the name people remember. That's the name that helped win the championship that year. My feelings on him personally have nothing to do with if he wore that number the best, and I would say that he did.
So kind of like Dykstra.
Sure. Yeah. You don't have to like the guy.
Right.
The question wasn't presented, do I think he should be in the Hall of Fame? Do I think he was a nice human being? The question is who wore it best. And out of those guys, I feel like it's pretty clear that that's him. That's at least my.
Did somebody just compare Rose to Dykstra?
No.
Did I
No.
just hear that?
No. The only comparison I'm
Put
saying,
your flag.
yeah, the only comparison I'm saying is he's not a great person,
Sure.
but he did great for the team when he wore that number.
Mhm.
No, that's the only comparison, or should I say, only similarity between the two.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I didn't vote for Lenny Dykstra, and I'm not voting for Pete Rose either.
So who? So
Your
lead into
partner
that.
is. Your
So
partner
I
is.
am- I am throwing in a write-in. He didn't even get a vote.
Wait
In
a
the
minute,
Flyers,
I thought it was a
Wait, you
rule
don't want him
that
write in. Why can you write in?
I never said you couldn't write in.
no.
No.
We said the host can't write in.
John said the host cannot do a
Don't
write-in.
you remember?
Oh, John, what is this? Had I known, I would have rigged the voting yesterday.
Well, you should at least voted for him yesterday.
Hank
I
did.
tried, and every time I was logged in as this fan's view, and then when I switched over to Lauren, I forgot. All right, then I'm voting for Sean Couturier.
Yeah.
There you go. You didn't go Dougie P? I would have thought you would have definitely gone.
No, he didn't wear 14 when he won. How can I go for that?
Yeah,
That didn't even make any sense.
But you still have the love for Dougie P. I would have thought you would.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. If he had worn 14 as a coach, if that had been a thing, I would have voted for him. So next time he should duct tape a 14 to his back, and then he would get my vote.
Well, there you go.
So,
Perfect.
Mr. Baseball, I need clarification. So I need your interpretation of Pete Rose and being slimy. So let me hear
is
it.
that Mr. Baseball? This one?
Yes.
Yeah, Mr.
Okay.
Baseball.
I didn't really think that needed to be stated. I mean, do you see that? The reason the Phillies don't, celebrate him anymore. between betting on baseball and doing things with underage girls, I mean, I feel like that says it all.
I mean, the Phillies literally nixed
He's
a celebration, a Wall of Fame induction that never happened.
I mean, it can't be any worse than that.
There's thousands and thousands of bobbleheads in God knows what country that you'll never see
Destroyed out in California, supposedly.
because he's slimy.
Yep. Even
All
gold.
right.
And so is Lenny Dykstra. He's slimy too.
They are.
And I can't vote for them.
Right. As players.
But I
As
don't,
people off the
yes,
field.
I don't take away their playing abilities. I don't take away that at all. And the betting on baseball, that's kind of one thing all to its own. But when you start with the underage girls, and that's
Just
that's a
horrible.
whole nother line. That's a whole nother line.
Oh,
But
yeah.
yes, I'm sure he was a wonderful player. I never saw him play, but I'm sure.
4,292 hits.
Yes. Still
Yes, he
fun.
did. Still slime.
But I think honestly, the fascinating thing for me was Sean Couturier beating out all of those names, especially Joe Watson.
Yes. And Ron
Not
Sutter.
even giving your boy Lappy honorable mention.
Well, that was who my write-in was going to be, but then I was reminded of rules that I clearly didn't know about. That was going to be my write-in.
Wait, the show has no rules.
Well, apparently it has rules. John apparently is the rule keeper.
Yeah. Then Mario's got to make his vote from 2 weeks ago. Then, if that's the case,
Yeah,
because
really?
that's not fair.
All right, fine. Dad, I voted for Sean Couturier. Don't question it.
She just
I
had
love it. I love it. I love it.
before
But
it started.
Yeah, who's Henry Bibby?
Is that Mike? Is that Mike Bibby's dad?
Yes,
It
it
is.
is.
That
Yes, it
Come
is.
on. Poor guy.
Yep. Yep.
Listen.
Yeah, it was with the Sixers
Anyway.
from 76 to 80.
Yep.
But I'm gonna go with Pete Rose himself as well.
All right.
Yeah, you're a slot ball.
Well, I mean, it's my baseball thing. I personally would have gone Bunnan when I voted in the poll. I voted Bunnan. I mean, his numbers retired, and that's and he's a Hall of Famer. So should Pete. As far as a player is concerned, but
Brian Brown's got my back. I'm just putting that out there. He's going to write it back.
there you go.
He did say that earlier too. So yeah.
Yep.
And then you can vote for him then, and hopefully you remember it as Lauren this time.
I can't vote twice, John. What is this?
Well, this is true. This is true.
Jeez, stop giving away all my secrets.
Some people do. Some people do. We're just saying. But yeah, so it should be a fun thing. So right around 7:30, we'll have it up and running, so that we can get the votes in, and I'll be sharing it to the other pages and keep those votes coming.
Very cool.
Every vote counts. So get them in, even if it's a runaway. It doesn't seem like it's going to matter. Just get them all in there. I want to see those numbers go up high.
Yep.
John,
challenging
you're
the
doing a
viewers.
fabulous job. You're
Well,
doing
thank
a
you.
fantastic job.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank
Sure
you.
is.
When does Jen boot you out of the house?
Who says she hasn't yet? This is just the background that makes it look like I'm at home, but I'm not.
You just get some wallpaper and some
I'm at a Holiday Inn.
2x4s.
I'm at a Holiday Inn
got
at
it.
the moment.
Yeah. How the boys doing? The boys doing all right after their big celebration?
Yeah, they're doing well. They're doing well. Kyle had his little virtual tour today up at Penn State. So yeah, should be interesting. See what's going on. It's still up in the air as far as what's going on as far as graduations and what they're doing for college as far as online or going to the main campus or not. So it's a little tough right at the moment as far as not knowing. But
There's
also
still no decision on that.
nothing right at the moment. I mean, supposedly State College is up in the green now, so so that's hopefully a good sign.
Yeah.
But we never know.
Okay. So Tim wants to know what the split was on Rose Bunning.
Rose Bunning was 278 votes for Pete Rose and 202 for Jim Bunning.
A little closer.
So it's 58% to 42%.
Wow.
Dad, did you want to share your Jim Bunning story from when he was in the store?
Yeah, well, this is probably why I could never vote for him, because he still owes me autographs, and he died, and now I'll never get them.
How rude.
He bailed on me.
But was it Steve that asked him to put Senator Jim Bunning on a baseball and he said no?
Yeah, well, Steve has a way of screwing up a lot of things.
Well, he had to have all the inscriptions, so yeah, I'm sure that was
Right,
Steve.
right. But he was very particular about keeping those two things separate, which at the time he was an ex-senator and an ex-baseball player. So
Yeah.
what does it matter?
Yeah, he was. He wasn't. He was very grumpy. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
very.
He wasn't the happiest of fellas.
No,
So he wasn't Gentleman Jim
no.
No, no.
at that day?
God, no.
How old
No.
was he when he came to the store?
Probably close to 80, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. It was.
5 years ago.
No, it was more than 5 years ago, wasn't it, Dad?
Yeah, it's probably closer to 10.
Yeah.
Yes, Steve, you did get rid.
Yeah, you just got ripped, Steve.
Just in time.
Why?
Yeah, we tried to sneak it in, but oh well.
So far,
Apparently, Tony has encountered Jim Bunning at the stadium. Was he okay?
Yeah.
It was one of the longest lines we've ever had. He did stay and sign, free autographs for people, which was very nice. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember him being overly happy and jolly, but I don't remember him being like.
When was he at the stadium?
I want to say like 5 years ago, but it all blends in at this point.
Right.
You guys did a bobblehead too, right?
Yeah. He was. I mean, he seemed okay. I mean, nothing really stood out.
Right.
But I also did. His wife kind of seemed a little bit nicer than he was. I don't.
Maybe her being there made a difference because she wasn't there when we had him.
I guess maybe we retired his number. I don't remember why we had him in town, but I don't know. I don't remember it being like overwhelmingly like great.
Well, Joe Stinger might be remembering a nicer experience with him, which is good because that's what matters the most is that the customers enjoy their interactions with him. But behind the scenes, or at least when no one was in the store, he wasn't very friendly, very standoffish.
maybe he just didn't like Steve.
There's a lot.
My mom would go to bat for Steve in a heartbeat.
Just saying. Just 2 and 2 together. Equals 4.
Yeah.
It rained that night in Reading when Bunning was there. You guys
It did,
had to,
yeah.
had to move him, right?
How did you remember that?
It wasn't. It
It
wasn't
always
very.
rains in Reading.
Or were you just taking a guess? I was going to say because 9 times out of 10 it always rains.
Yeah, it
I'm
wasn't.
just trying to fire up your partner over there, but he's very subdued tonight. I'm trying to goad him into something, and he just won't jump in.
You just have to mention Major League Baseball, and that tends to really just.
Well,
press
I was
it
trying
hard.
that was my last, poke.
It rained.
That's
It rained.
common.
It rained heavy that night, and at that point, it was one of the longest lines that I've ever seen. And there was nowhere really to put anyone. And
Where was he?
he was on the stage, but the line I'm saying like wrapped around the whole plaza about 10 times. So
Wow.
they went through the entire concourse. There was nowhere to put anyone. Obviously, he was only signing for an hour because we weren't paying him for a signing. We were lucky that he was even doing it. So,
Mhm.
Right.
Between that and the rain, it was sort of like not the most fun of days to be there, but so it's what it is.
Well, Sue's coming to Steve's rescue.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. She always will.
Yeah. She's coming to his rescue.
There's something there going on for sure.
Yeah, I know. So
All right, on to other things.
I'm going to have to reach out to Tim because apparently somebody in his family married a Bunning. I want to find out who in his family and which Bunning it was. So I'll talk to him unless he wants to divulge it on through one of the comments. But I'll be curious because that sounds kind of pretty interesting to me anyway.
Why? Tell him to jump on and give us the dirt. Come on, Tim. What's the secret? Can't be a secret about Jim Bunning's second cousin. Come on. Seriously. Come on. Come on, Tim.
Well, he said he tends to like grumpy people from Kentucky. So who knows?
Well, that's where Jim's from, right?
Yeah.
All right. All right. We
And-
ready to move on?
Yeah.
Well, Joe wanted to know. Joe Stinger wanted to know who had the most votes so far. Randall Cunningham actually had the most votes at 350 votes.
Wow.
He was the highest vote getter so far.
So was that before we started doing the
No, we
actual
started.
poll?
We did the poll on number 10. We were doing the polls on number 10, and but number 10 had Dalton and John LeClaire, and they both were battling it out. So it took a lot of votes away from Dalton, who won it,
Gotcha.
or John LeClaire. So I think both of them were pretty high, but all the winners so far have been in the 300s. But Randall Cunningham had 350 is the most so far.
There's a perfect example. Who wore it best or who was more popular?
Right. Yep. Oh yeah, and it's everybody's opinion. So that's what makes this game great. There's no wrong answer.
Can we shake them? Can we wake them up?
What'd you say? I didn't hear anything.
I said, right, Anthony?
Oh.
Who wore it best or who was more popular?
All right. So before you push his buttons anymore, let's get into the Roy Halladay documentary from Friday night. Did everybody watch that?
Did not get a chance to watch it.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah, it was a lot of interesting things in that. Very, very. It was cool to see the inside. And Brandy was, she's always great with everything, and it was just to see how he had to suffer through it. It just gets to show you how each person internally is different. You think somebody, well, that person must have it all. There's nothing wrong in his world, and he struggled more than most people do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would love to find out who that player is that wanted to, tried to talk to him and get him help. And the gentleman who put the documentary together, he knows, but he won't divulge the name of the player. Everybody was kind of thinking it was Kyle Kendrick, but Kyle, they asked Kyle and he said, no, it wasn't me.
No, I'll bet you it was probably Chase Utley.
You think?
Yeah.
I'm going Cole only because of the pitching. The pitchers kind of, all hang together and, that kind of thing. But it's a shame. But kudos to Brandy for divulging all that information and making that all public. And I thought she was fantastic. I really did.
Yeah. Yeah, she was. And it was interesting to see, hurting his back, and he lost 3 inches in his height because of the compression in the back.
Oh,
it's not to get too many secrets away there, Mario, but yeah,
you ruined it for me, John.
Yeah, but to lose 3 inches in your height, and that just seems almost impossible. But
I mean, it's not, because you figure. I don't know how big your spine is, but if it all gets compressed and the cartilage in between there goes, I could see that. I can definitely see that.
And it just goes to show too, how much of a competitor he was, because I believe that was in Game 1 of that Cardinals series, and then he came back and played the other game afterwards when him and Carpenter went at it, and ended up losing. So to fight through it. And still gave up 2 runs or whatever it was. It wasn't. Was pretty amazing. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yep.
But,
yeah, I mean, I thought the whole thing was fascinating. I thought they squeezed an awful lot into 1 hour.
I
would have loved to have seen, a few more episodes that I think could have gone a little bit more in depth, but I don't know how much Brandy could have handled. Continuing to kind of talk about it, because you could see her struggles with it. You could definitely see his father's struggles with it still.
Mm-hmm.
I took away a lot of the father probably places a lot of blame on himself for what happened because he was a pilot.
Right.
And, did he get his love for flying from him that inevitably killed him? There was a lot of sort of unanswered questions for me from that. You guys had mentioned, who was the player that tried to get him help? Well, who was the player that referred him to this doctor that he paid cash to for this medication?
Right.
I hope for the player's sake that never comes out. Because although I think Roy would have figured out a way to get whatever he needed in some way, shape, or form, I just hope for that player's sake that never comes out. Because I don't think that'll be well received by fans.
Right.
So I think that stuff. I also found it interesting that the morning that he died, he was supposed to fly in one direction and went another. So that leaves a lot of open-ended questions as far as why did he go a different route?
Right.
What was his plan? Did he know what he was doing? Did he just go that way?
Was there anybody with him?
No.
Okay.
No.
No, yeah, I was curious because especially since he kind of, he was supposed to go to the rehearsal or the concert for his son, and was going to meet Brandy there, and didn't go there, and then texting her at, I guess, when he's flying, saying that it was another wasted day and he should have gone with her. That was touching, and I'm sure there wasn't too many dry eyes in the room at the time, but a few that didn't throughout that show.
Right.
There was
the other son, the other son didn't speak at all.
Right.
Which, that's fine. Everybody deals with it differently, but you could definitely feel that family's pain. I mean, even his sister still, to this day, is just kind of.
Yeah, that got me a little bit with that. And it was cool though to see him coaching and then winning, going perfect again with his son and getting his son the is it Hayden, right? No, Brandon. Braden.
Right.
Yeah, getting him the championship and going 30-0 and it was kind of cool that him busting his dad's chop, like, oh, I guess I'm the only Halliday to win the championship in this town, in his family and stuff. So that was pretty cool. And then he's like, well, I was the coach, so he got his too. But it was a pretty cool show to watch. And, I mean, unfortunately, it was a sad topic, but
Right.
But it was still pretty good to. And you could see how much it hurt Kyle Kendrick as well. Like he was pretty beat up over it himself as well, and being close to him and stuff.
Yeah, I was surprised to see there weren't more players interviewed, but maybe there were, and it just wasn't worth the airtime, so to speak, because it was only an hour.
Right.
So that's why I'm wondering, had it been longer, if you'd heard from more points of view. Would have been interesting to hear from Carlos, because they obviously worked really closely together as pitcher and catcher. So just, did Cole have anything to say? I don't know that Cole would have spoke, though, just because he's still a current player. So I'm not sure how much of that he would have gotten into.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, I would have thought, too, maybe Chris Carpenter, his best friend, may have gotten in on it as well. Not that he's a Phillies player, but would have gotten into the whole thing because he had a good story afterwards from after that season in 2011 when him and the Phillies lost to the Cardinals, and him and Halliday went to I think it was the Amazon and was fishing, and then Roy jumped into the Nile River there and wasn't worrying about the Grana, and he jumped in and he's like, we got to do it. We're here. We got to do it. And neither one of them wanted to do it at first, but or Carpenter's like, I'm not doing it, and he's like, you got to. And then, but it was funny because they were saying, they were quiet for the longest time, then Carpenter had to finally open it up and talk to him about he got a hit off of him in that game, and to break the ice of of the pink elephant in the room with the the tension between the two of them because they were such big competitors, but also best friends.
I imagine a lot of those guys didn't want to talk for multiple reasons. A lot of them are still playing. Second, once the topic of the documentary is going to lead down to where they're going to ask players those questions. Did you know this was happening?
Right.
Did you supply them with drug? They don't want to deal with that because it should be about, they want to think of it as something where it honors him, and they don't want to do that.
Yeah. I can see that.
And then Sean, brought up a good point about, mental health, doesn't discriminate anyone. I think a lot of times, especially, regular people, want to, sort of say, hey, look at this person, why would they do something like that? They have so much to live for. That's probably why you shouldn't really step foot in someone else's shoes. Sometimes you joke, oh, this person's got the life, that person's got the life, but you have no idea what anyone else is dealing with. So
yeah, you only know what you see. You don't know what goes on when they're not on the camera and when they're not,
Right. So, I'm sure that was just too painful for some of the guys, and the other guys just said it's not worth it. I know what he meant to me. I don't need to prove it in an hour documentary. So
right.
Yeah, I thought it was also interesting how even after a loss, he would call Ruben Amaro and apologize to him for losing the game. Just like
they mentioned that he threw up at the beginning of every game. That is some kind of anxiety that I never want to encounter.
Was that's all from nerves?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
He had to take sleeping pills the night before to be able to go to bed.
Yeah.
That I could see. That I could see.
And I think that I totally just lost my train of thought because I was looking at a comment. So ignore me.
But yeah, it's the things that the players have to go through. And that's what they were saying. The one drug was why he was sweating so much, where he looked like he was just got out of the shower.
That was my point. Yeah.
In Florida.
I specifically remember games watching him pitch and thinking, geez, he sweats a lot.
Right.
Not really thinking anything of it, because at the time you think like Roy Halladay, he's this perfect pitcher. What could possibly be wrong?
Right.
For me, I don't know, maybe I'm just naive. But this was probably one of the first documentaries I've watched about a guy that I actually saw play. Obviously I was alive when Michael Jordan played, but I was like 7, 8 years old. So that wasn't really, I didn't really get all that at the time. So this was the first documentary where I physically remember when he pitched that no-hitter and that perfect game, and remember thinking, man, he sweats a lot. So to see the backstory of somebody that I actually watched was just kind of fascinating. I had seen him before. He had come to Diamonds and Denim when I worked for the Hamels Foundation. So I had been around him before. So just to kind of see what people deal with behind closed doors. Just like Sean said, it doesn't discriminate against anybody. And his perfection was fueled by his anxiety.
Right.
And if he didn't have that, he probably wouldn't have been the pitcher he was.
Oh, no, not at all.
Most of the people that push themselves like that, to push yourself consistently like that, you have something going on.
Right.
That drive comes from somewhere.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
yeah. So that was fascinating just to kind of see all that, and like I said, an hour went by so fast for that. But,
yes, it did.
What is this? Do you know, John? Maybe do you know the schedules for the next one? I know that one with there's Bruce Lee and then the Sammy Sosa one. Do you know what those are?
I haven't seen a date yet for them. The Lance Armstrong one just finished up yesterday, so I'm not sure what time frames they're going to be doing those others, but I'm sure they'll be doing them relatively soon.
Yeah,
because it was a week after the Michael Jordan ones ended, they kind of started up with the Holiday. So
is the Lance Armstrong one? Is that a 2-part, a 3-part? Where are we at?
It was a 2-part.
So that's over now.
Yeah. That
Saturday, Sunday?
No, it was both Sundays.
Oh, okay. All right.
It was last Sunday and yesterday. So yeah, it was definitely. I would say probably one of them will probably be coming up on Sunday.
Right.
I haven't seen anything advertised, but I would assume they keep up with the same pace.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting there. But
So
I guess we
speaking
go
of baseball,
exactly.
I gotta go.
Day after you, Carl? I hear cop
No.
cars in the background somewhere.
that's at our place. Surprisingly, I have no idea what's going on. So
Okay.
All
All right.
yeah, I
it's
mean
a fire truck. So
So I think we're
players
trying
turned
to.
down.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the players turned down the one deal that the owners wanted to give them a major pay
Oh.
cut, and which wasn't happening. And then the players proposed another thing to them for playing I believe it was a 114 game schedule, which the owners are going to quickly reject that. And then right before we got on the air today, we saw an article that the owners are going to try to give them a 50 game schedule and give them a full prorated pay, but at 50 games, which I can't see that happening. I mean, 31% of the games that you're going to, that's just, I can't see that happening.
So this is the real problem. It's
Oh.
the fight between the own. Like we said this before earlier in earlier shows. It's the fight between the owners and the players.
Well, it's that, but it's also the more games that the teams play, the less money the owners make, because of no revenues coming in
Right.
from the state, stadiums and that kind of stuff. And the players obviously want to play more games so they can get paid closer
More money.
to
Right.
well, just closer to what they were getting. Obviously, they're not getting paid full price, but
Right.
closer to their thing.
But they get paid per game, right?
Well, it was all different. I mean, it wasn't a per game. I think that's what the original plan was.
Okay.
But that the owners turned down after they agreed to it, and I think it was supposed to be an even or prorated price, but that's what the players want. But then the owners gave that big $21 million that Bryce Harper was giving up wasn't a prorated schedule when you're having to play half the games.
Okay.
So I don't know exactly what that makes it be, but then today's proposal though from the owners, giving them the prorated full price, but only playing 50 games is interesting. I don't know.
So is there a deadline where they need to make a decision by?
They got about a week.
A week.
Right.
About a week. I mean, if you're going to have guys coming from all over the world to go to Florida to practice for another 2 weeks, and you want to play by July 1st,
Right.
I don't. Not to be negative, I don't see any of this happening. It seems utterly ridiculous. If they said they're going to play 80 games, and then the players came back where we want to play 114, why would you think that they were going to say they'll play 50 games?
Right.
If I told anyone here that we're going to give you a third of your paycheck, you probably wouldn't accept that.
Right.
You know what I mean? No one's going to accept that. So, like, it's not like it's even in good faith at this point, because if someone says 114, then you come back and say, well, how about 90? You don't say 50. You don't go less than what you originally said.
More than half of it all.
Then there's a portion of owners that don't even want to play. They want to say, you know what, the players, screw the players. We're not even playing.
Right.
Okay, well, then you guys aren't even on the same page. You guys get on the same page. Then you get on the same page and you tell the players what they want to do.
Right.
And that's part of the problem, like you said, because John Milton, he's going out there and trying to make it right for the employees.
He seems like a very good owner. Not I'm speaking bad about other owner, but he seems like a very good owner that kind of gets it. You saw it last year with the fans. He's trying to do the best he can. Seems like a good guy. They weren't happy with the coach. What he's doing, what he's supposed to be doing. No one could be mad at him.
Paying the minor league guy still,
paying people. It's just very frustrating where they are with things. And also, what I think people forget is, the other tough part is they're not even on the same page with the other leagues. The other leagues say, hey, we're going to start practicing and getting ready for our season at the end of July. baseball still thinks in 2 weeks they're going to be able to come back, have everyone ready, and play for the 4th of July. They don't, they're not really communicating with anyone. The whole thing just absolutely fascinates me to the point where we're going to probably lose a year of baseball, and that's not very good for the sport of baseball going forward. So,
Right.
And then, just the whole world right now, you'd think you'd come together and try to figure this out so people could have some sense of a normal summer, but it's just, it's frustrating.
Exactly.
Wow.
So yeah.
So I guess the only thing we can do at this point is sit and wait and see what happens. Predictions?
I don't know. I mean, that just came out tonight, so it'll take this time tomorrow or Wednesday. You might hear something from the player. It's not as immediate as you or me answering. It takes a bit. They have to go and analyze every little thing. But
For the owners,
I don't see the players agreeing to that at all. I mean,
what does it do for baseball next year if they don't play this year?
It's not good. I mean, if you're in a market that your team's struggling in the first place, if you're in a Pittsburgh or Cincinnati or Milwaukee, not Milwaukee, I guess lately, but those type of cities that haven't done well in some time, and there's no salary cap, and you already feel like your team doesn't have a shot, and you took off a year, why don't those kids just watch lacrosse? Why won't those kids watch basketball? Why won't those kids watch football? Why won't they watch anything else but baseball?
Sure.
Yeah.
What does it do from a minor league aspect?
Well, I think at the minor league,
like, what's going to happen to those guys? Like, I know John Middleton agreed to pay, the Phillies minor leaguers until the end of June, but if there's no season, is he paying them through next year? I mean, that seems like the right thing to do, but also awful nice, considering most aren't thinking that way.
I don't know, because most teams haven't even said stuff like that. They say, we're going to pay you through June. We're going to pay you through July.
Right.
I don't think they know what's going to happen. So it'll be very odd for anyone to say we're going to pay you.
Did I see something that they already let 40 minor leaguers go?
It was like
I think 25 for the Phillies.
25? Okay.
They're going to
but-
get to 1,000 before it's all said and done.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to be good, and like Andy said, it's the owners themselves aren't on the same page as far as that's the big problem, because I mean, we play 50 games, we play 100 games, we play 80.
Not speaking for the owners. I get I get the frustration that they're dealing with. Every game that they play, they're going to lose money. I get it, but that's not the players' fault.
Right.
That's not the players' fault that there was a coronavirus.
Right.
That's no one's fault. And the longer it drags out, no one's going to want to go. The owners, I can see right now, not wanting to go to play into October 31st. They have to compete with, a regular. So you got to compete with football and all that stuff.
Right.
But you have to figure it out this week for the sake of the future of the sport. And I know that sounds doom and gloom, but that's the truth of the matter. You have to figure it out for the sake of the sport going forward, because you can't have another strike year. You can't do that, especially to those cities that are already struggling and don't have great attendance in the first place.
So now that's a question. Is there a chance of another strike coming?
I mean, if you can't figure it out during a pandemic, even if it doesn't happen, that doesn't look good for the sport going forward. I mean, you have to have a plan. It seems like we're so far from a plan. We talk about it every week, and every week I want to say that they're closer to a plan, but it doesn't feel like that. It's already June at this point.
Can we go back to March when they were in spring training and prior to the pandemic? Where were things at that point? Kind of let's backtrack, because weren't there contractual problems they were running into, some scenario there?
I'm trying to remember. That feels like a million years away. I know that as far as like the minor league baseball, that's been a problem since this point last year. We were starting to realize that a lot of those deals were going to end, and they wanted to contract and make it smaller. I don't remember March in general. Just I can't remember.
Yeah, I think there were some issues then, as far as a new contract, and what was going to be perceived as moving forward. And then this whole thing hit, and it kind of like played right into the owner's hands. You know what I mean? And now they're using this as a pitch, to chop all this. So,
well, supposedly they had the deal in place as far as playing a prorated salary, basically going forward, whatever that would have been, 100 games.
But I'm going back before that, before we got to where we
even
were,
Right.
that there were issues, there were problems.
Well, there's going to be issues because next year's the end of it, collective bargaining.
Exactly.
CBA, so.
You got a third of the teams that always make money. They're always profitable. You got a third of the teams that are right on the cusp of, give or take. And then you got a third that they just lose money all the time, regardless.
Well, they've always had a relationship like that. I mean, when have you ever remembered a time where the Major League Baseball Players Association has had a great relationship with the owners? Never, ever in history. However, on the other end, you have Chris Paul, who's the head of the Players Association in basketball, texting Adam Silver to figure it out. I don't see who's the pitcher for the Nationals? He was on the Tigers. I can't remember. Was it Scherzer?
Yeah, Max Scherzer.
He's the one that's saying.
He's the player rep.
Yeah, and he's saying we're not going to pay less money. I mean, he straight out said that. I mean, you couldn't have any two opposites of leagues, and the NHL isn't like crushing it the way they're the same way, but at least the relationship with Gary Bettman's a little bit better than the relationship they have with Rob Manfred. So, it's just frustrating for the fans. It's frustrating going forward, and yeah, I mean, everyone I think realizes you can't have a strike or you can't have a year not playing. But we say that every day, and I don't feel like it's actually anyone's like sort of caving. I feel like it's just I just don't get how you could say 80, 90 games and then you say 50. It's basically you're not wanting to play it.
Well, like you said, I think a lot of the owners don't want to play, and then maybe some of the players don't want to play, and that's why they're pushing the high number too. To be fair on both sides, but it seems like it's more. I think it's more of an owner's issue as far as that we're not getting to play because they're losing the revenues from the stadium, ticket sales and that kind of stuff. Where the players are going to still get, they just want, if they get a prorated salary and they're getting paid per game what they were supposed to, I think they'd be fine with it. Obviously they're not liking to lose half their salary, but they're still getting paid for what they were getting. The work that they were doing.
With this current model, they'd be if they agree to 50 games, which they never will. That's a third of their salary. So if you were to play 80, they didn't like that. They want to play 114. But it's not like the baseball said 90 or 95 or something. They said basically like screw you, we're going down to 50. Okay, well, you need them to play, so I don't know what to tell you.
Right, and they probably even want less than the 50 too if they really could get it because, like you said, they don't want to lose. I think it's all everybody's just trying to show face or save face. That they want it, putting on the act that we want baseball back, but I don't know that, realistically it's going to be back this year.
I don't know. That kind of seems like a half-assed try, if you ask me.
Well, it is. It's like, oh, here we'll throw this out there, and if it works, going to 50 games, then sure, we'll do it. But if like the players want the 114 games,
so then each side could blame the other for not having a season.
Yeah, well, that, and instead of just saying, well, not that it's actually half, but say 82 games, and you're almost.
I said it last week, and I don't think it'll register. The people in this room, it'll register, and people watching, it'll register. But the casual fan, you can see arguments online. You could see everyone just blaming it on the players that they're greedy. The problem is people see the players making millions of dollars, and the average Joe doesn't make millions of dollars, so they're frustrated. Well, who do they think pays the players? That's what they keep forgetting.
Right.
So easy to be mad at Bryce Harper, as an example, not the Phillies as an example, but, or a certain player. But someone has to pay the players. That's what they're not understanding. And that's what's frustrating. I think the fan gets it, but I don't think the general public understands.
Mm-hmm.
Does this kind of shine the spotlight on the need for that salary cap that baseball hasn't had?
I think if they didn't get it after that strike year in 1994 and whatever 1994, I don't think it's ever going to happen again. I think if it didn't happen, then it's not going to happen. But hopefully with this in a normal situation when something like this happens, you would think that people would sort of figure it out and say, maybe there does need to be a salary cap or at least a salary floor.
Right.
How about that?
Well, exactly. They have the luxury tax, and so I think there's somewhat of a cap that teams won't go over. But your point right there is more than the fact you have to have the floor, because you got like teams like the Marlins that aren't paying. They might pay $30 million for this season. I don't know the exact number, but I'm just saying, they might pay 30, where the Yankees are paying $220 million.
And when people make fun of no fans in Miami and they shouldn't have a team, maybe don't get mad at the people in Miami. Maybe get mad at the ownership for when you win a World Series, you rip the entire thing apart. You're trying to keep it the same. It's so easy in general to get mad at the fan or the players. And I'm not saying it's always the ownership's fault, but you have to sometimes look above the players because someone does pay them.
Do you think it's possible that Major League Baseball could lose teams from this?
I think that some teams could sell, I guess. It's interesting. Like in basketball, you have an owner like, Mark Cuban, who owns things that aren't basketball teams. So it's not his primary source of revenue. So he thinks it's fun and he wants to win. There are other owners in other sports and baseball and basketball that's their only source of revenue. I think there should be a rule or something that says that can't be your main source of revenue. You have to have some type of business that, you're not just, yes, it's a business and I get you're trying to make money, but if that's your prime source of business, it doesn't really set you up for wanting to spend your money in a way that'll bring a championship to your city.
Well, okay. So let me think about that. If that's my only source of income, that's how I would be spending my money, because I would definitely want to have a championship, because that would mean more money for me.
Sure. Or if you have a business that's like a dying business, or if you have something where you don't want to put too much money, you know what I mean? I don't know. If you're in a smaller market, you should have an ownership that really is trying to do something. If you are a kid growing up in Cincinnati, you don't feel very hopeful that you're going to bring a championship anytime soon. And that shouldn't be like that, because it's not like that in any other sports.
Right. We know all about that, being from Philly.
They put a pretty solid team together this year. They looked like they were ready to make some noise out there.
Yeah, and that's what happens. You get lucky. You could. It's such a small window, though. Like they would have to won within the next 2 to 3 years, because if they didn't, you'd have to blow it up. And I'm just saying, it's so much, so hard. It's so hard if you're in those markets to do that. And the general fan doesn't want to wait that long. If your football team can win every few years, and your hockey team could theoretically win every few years, and your basketball team could win every few years, people don't want to wait 40 years for a baseball team to win. It's a long time to invest.
Yep.
So does it get more muddier? Does it get dirtier?
Well, you're definitely going to see a statement that says they don't agree to this, and that's ridiculous. You're going to see that statement. The question is, after that, do they actually sit down like we were talking about last week and say, enough nonsense. Here are the issues we're having. Here are the issues you're having. Can we meet in the middle? Can we figure something out? But the problem is, it's June 1st.
Right.
It's and they don't want to play into the fall. So
right.
I don't know. I don't know what you do.
I mean, they've had 3 months to try to figure this out.
Yeah.
That's pretty sad.
But because they, as we were talking about before, and John was saying, and Carl was saying the issues that came into this year before it happened. All this did was provoke stuff that was going to happen at some point to be immediate.
Right.
And now it's like a million things coming together at once, and no one knows what to do.
Yep.
Everyone just says we want to play, but no one's figuring out how are we going to actually play.
Right.
And as a fan, that gets frustrating.
Meanwhile, to bring the other sports into it, and I don't know who I just cut off. I apologize. I mean, are we any closer to hockey? Are we any closer to basketball? Are we any closer to, there seems to be, we're in a holding pattern there as well.
Yeah, we heard some stuff last week, but have we heard anything since?
And they're saying July 31st for basketball as the start date, but is that a real start date?
Have they come through with any plan as to what they're going to do, other than what we've heard already?
Nothing.
Well, no, they're still trying to do it down in Orlando, down in Disney.
I was saying to Lauren last night that, other than what we've heard about baseball in the last 48 hours, I haven't heard anything about sports in general since the last time we were on air here.
Right,
that's a good point.
So maybe people are maybe they're just looking at what's going on in the world and they're trying to figure it out, make sure there's not a coronavirus, coming through again. I would imagine basketball has the best chance of playing because it's easy to put people on a court, but they also theoretically have the scariest time in someone getting something because it's so easy to transfer.
Right.
So,
Right.
And I think too with those sports, like baseball is in a different situation, and same with football going to be coming up as well. Hockey and basketball are going to go into the playoffs. So as it goes along, teams are going to be dropping off, and then you have less and less teams to worry about. So that might and we still don't even know if they're going to play.
Yeah, I think that article said basketball played like 79% of its season. Hockey might have played 80-something% of their season. So you can automatically go to a playoffs. But not only do you have the issues with the owners and the players and the coronavirus, but they haven't even started a season yet. So it's not like you can just make a playoffs. Now, the one thing I did think, just to sort of, I guess, end that on a positive note, in my opinion, one of the things that they think might stick going forward is, this expanded playoffs for baseball, which I guess some people don't like. But, as a fan of a team that doesn't make the playoffs very often, it makes you hopeful that, your team, if they're at least competing and they're staying in there, that they have a chance, maybe that helps some of those smaller market teams. Mm-hmm. That seems the one thing that from these articles I've read that seems the players and the owners wouldn't be opposed to, because obviously that's more games on national TV and that could bring everyone more money. But other than that, I haven't read too much positive stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, so we are just a couple minutes from 7:30, so we will start our takeaways for the night. So, John, what do you got?
My takeaway is we need our sports back. We need to play it, and I don't know if it's going to be feasible to do, but we do need our sports to get back to make America better again.
Golf returns on June 11th.
It does, and we'll have good stuff there. But again, I think having the sports back, but also not having the fans in there is going to make it a little bit of a different atmosphere. But like I said, that's hopefully we can have our sports back, that we can take our minds off of and be more positive and use our minds in a more positive direction.
Mm-hmm. Dad?
Pretty much I'll spin off of what John said. We definitely we need sports back. I mean, if you're people that aren't even sports people want sports back because it gives their husbands something to do and get them out of their face, right? You know what I mean? So everybody's bored out of their mind. You know what I mean? We don't know what to believe. You hear so many rumors, so many distractions. It's just like, come on, guys. Seriously? I mean, if we didn't have this going on, where would you be? You know what I mean? Like, get these deals done. Let's get to the finish line. What's it going to do? End up in court? You're going to have an issue where, some judge is going to have to make a decision. Not good. It's not good for anything. To end up there. But we definitely need our sports back. I mean, we need to have something to talk about. You know what I mean? I just feel, I feel like, we're just missing so much. So my takeaway is, to somebody put a comment up earlier, they have never watched so much NASCAR in their life. I'm right there. I'm right there. I'm still going in circles. I'm so dizzy. I can't think straight. No.
You're on 95 just making left turns.
I don't know.
Actually, being on 95 making left turns is probably doing it a lot better than a lot of
All
people
I
out
know
there
is
driving.
all I know is them drivers are nuts. They are nuts. They will cut you off and they will spin you in the wall in a heartbeat. So maybe we need to take a page out of their book.
Tony?
Well, I mean, I guess just in general, whether it's sports or for humanity, for whatever it is, I think people should just listen to the other side, understand their opinion, and try to work with each other, because if you don't, nothing ever gets accomplished. That's all I got to say.
Okay.
Very good. Very
Fair
good.
enough. For me personally, I'm gonna plug my real full-time job. We just launched our virtual walk today, so that normally happens in September. But because we don't know if we're gonna actually be able to get like 1,000+ people together in September, and we are not bringing in any fundraising dollars, we launched our virtual walk today. So if anyone's interested in participating in that, that would be great. You can go to our website, humanepa.org, and then obviously all the money raised supports the animals in our care. We're hoping, last year we raised $125,000 for this walk. At this point, I'd be happy with half of that, just because of everything that's going on. But yeah, so just a little work plug.
Let's get this Fans View team together. Come on, let's
There you
go.
go. I'm up for that.
Let's get a team together.
I can virtually walk 1,000,000 miles.
Yep, you and me both. Yep.
You know,
I don't really care. I don't really care if you walk or not, as long as you sign up and register and pay the money. I don't care if you walk a foot or 10. Doesn't matter to me.
Can we just do a loop? Just have like a
Walk in a circle, John.
Yep.
Well, no, you have the video on a loop, so it looks like you're walking like
John's legs are already bothering him.
Get a green screen, John. You can just sit there and go like this, make it look like you're walking.
Well, exactly. We'll be like Forrest Gump.
There you go.
Yep. Hey, whatever you need to do, John.
Oh, my
There you
God.
go. There you go. Just don't tell anybody who's paying for my sponsorship.
Oh, God. All right. That's it. Break it down to me.
Yes,
All right. So I will do what I'm surprised you didn't do, Carl. You're opening up on Friday, which, thank God, you're opening up on Friday.
You're tired of hearing me too, huh?
No. I think it's great that you're finally opening up.
Tired of hearing me too.
No, I think it's great that you're finally going to be able to open up and people are going to be able to come see you and come to your store. So thank God for that. Other than that, I have no takeaways. I spent a great weekend. My birthday was over the weekend, but I spent a great weekend down the shore with my family. So that's about it. Can't do better than that.
Happy birthday.
Yes,
Thank
happy
you.
birthday.
How old are you?
4.
4. You've had a lot of 4s.
Yes, I've had a lot of 4s. Yeah, I turned 55 yesterday. So
Very nice. Double nickels.
Yeah.
I remember that party. Very cool. Great show, guys.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you. We got to get baseball back to work, man. I know you're going nuts. So
Hopefully soon.
Yep.
Something, some form of it. I'll watch anything now.
We'll get there.
yep.
Might not be this year, but we'll get there.
Yep.
I hope it is.
We may not have Anthony. That's
Oh, God. All right. With that, I will say that was the show for tonight, and we will be back Wednesday at 6:30. We'll be doing what, 15, John?
Number 15. Yep.
Number
Get your votes
15.
in. The poll's going to be up there, and we'll have it shared in a few minutes once we get off the air, and you'll get your votes in.
All right.
And just before we closed out, I don't know if you guys had separate plans, but I just wanted to announce that this will be our last Monday show, simply just because the store is opening back up now. Things are starting to open back up. We had tacked on an extra show just for something for all of us to do to kind of get through these last 3 months We feel like we accomplished that. And so, on one hand, we don't want to kind of overdo ourselves with 2 shows a week. And on another hand, when you don't have sports playing, you kind of run out of things to talk about. So we're going to go back to just a Wednesday night show. So this will be our last Monday show, but we'll go back to Wednesdays, every Wednesday at 6:30 like you all are used to.
Yes.
Sounds good to me.
Very cool. Very
All
cool.
right.
Thank
See
you.
you, see you Wednesday night at the store.
You got
Bye,
it.
guys.
Perfect. There you go.
You
See
guys.
you guys.